This is going to be an interesting video, and I'm going to guarantee this is going to be a first. Not so long ago, I did a review of my DW-5000c compared to the cheaper alternatives, which are from the vintage period of the 80s. Now, what I want to know, are these big differences or are they a small difference? So these two jassers are very cheeky indeed from the 80s. They've even got G-SHOCK at the bottom and a K, and the K stands for knockoff. Now comparing this to the original 1983 G-SHOCK, these are simply garbage. Now you've seen what cheap G-SHOCKs look like back from the 80s. Now what would happen if a big brand would make a G-SHOCK? How about CITIZEN from 1985? Yes, this is real and it's not a prototype. This was released in 1985 and it was called the P130. And if you watched the original video from the knockoffs from G-SHOCK, that was from a friend of mine called David Snell. And this is his watch. And we have done a trade, and I traded a G-SHOCK DW-9900 Frogman, and I must say he was hassling me to get that Frogman, and I really had to have these two together because this is a first. Remember this, guys, these two sitting next to each other has never been reviewed before. Okay, this is going to be a real honest review of both of these watches, and just to warn you that I am a G-SHOCK fanatic, this is my Lieblings brand, I have to say that CITIZEN have done something very, very special indeed. Out of these two, I have to say that the CITIZEN is actually better made, and the actual module is better also. I can understand why G-SHOCK got excited and told CITIZEN to stop producing back in 1985. So these P130s weren't produced for long, and soon they were removed. This particular one is in fantastic condition. May not have the original strap that I've replaced, and I've put a aftermarket CITIZEN buckle on there as well, just to keep it all in theme. But the actual build of it is all perfectly original. This bezel isn't rubber, this is hardened plastic. Whereas on the original G-SHOCKs, these have all long time perished. This is an aftermarket one from Brazil. And also the display is much clearer, and I can prove this at an angle. Look at this angle right here. I've got the reflection of the brickwork in the background, whereas this, because of the LCD being so close to the glass, you can see it. So it would actually make the perfect driver's watch too. Big differences, the original is 200 meters, while the CITIZEN is 300. The original has shock resist on the back case, while the CITIZEN is daring and actually put shock resist there. SR means shock resist. They're both made in Japan, and here on the original G-SHOCK is written Japan. Also on the CITIZEN, but much bigger. While the original G-SHOCK uses screws, these use little studs. The buttons are about the same size. The original G-SHOCK case width is 42 millimeters, and the CITIZEN is also 42. Thickness on the G-SHOCK is 12.9. The CITIZEN is a little fatter at 13.1. The G-SHOCK is 65 grams, while the CITIZEN is 79. Let me show you a bit more detail on these two because, as I mentioned, this video has never been shown before. I guarantee that. I've been searching and searching. The original G-SHOCK against the, I don't know what you would say, but it's 1985 and it's CITIZEN's attempt at shocking the world also with that sort of durability watch side. Now let's just have a look at some of the font on the display here, and it has water resistant 300 meters there, so it's sort of copying the side. It's more or less sort of a bit of an imitation all the way around. It hasn't got the brickwork on this one, which I actually do prefer, because I'm not really the biggest fan of the brickwork, I have to be honest. It has the shock resist there, and again it's written shock resistant in very bold. Has Citizen there, it's in the same place. It's explaining that it is a lithium battery, and it's telling you where the buttons are on the side, and this module on here is very different, I have to add. It's alarm chronograph, and this has multi-alarms and chronograph and a timer. Let's have a look on the back case. Look at the difference between those two. Now the original is screw down case back in stainless steel, while the other, the Citizen, is a screw down with 4 screws with a stainless steel back case, and then it has this plastic cover over the top of it, and it has 4 of these slots to be precise. And this is basically when it's resting on your wrist that it has a little bit of a ventilation also to allow the sound out from the alarm. Whereas on the original G-Shock, the alarm is underneath the crystal. Now, this wasn't a great idea because with the vibration, this will split the laminate from the actual display, the crystal, and the actual glass and all the print, and it will form bubbles. So later they replaced that and put the alarm on the back. On the G-Shock, the case is all made of cast stainless steel. I think they're 16mm. No, they're 18mm. Are they 18mm? You can see the lugs are exposed, and the strap width is 18mm, and it fits like that. And it has these sort of very unusual sort of pieces here, and this is to maintain the form, so it's in a sort of a shape like that. And this is all part of the shock protection. When you drop it on the floor, say you're putting your watch on or taking it off, then it has that side. The Citizen also has the stainless steel case. I must add that the lugs on the Citizen are much more thicker, and they just have a nicer finish. They look less rush, so to speak. And also I've noticed that there's a gap that runs through the edge here. You can see the button going through. Now, I wonder if that's part of the protection. And looking on the original, it sort of has a gap there, but I don't think that's purpose. But then again, this is an aftermarket bezel. On the Citizen, the lugs are exposed on the outside. And I guess I could imagine that it's actually easier to find suitable straps for the Citizen, whereas on the G-Shock, they're sort of a bit unique with that sort of fitment. I'm now going to go through the module of the Citizen, comparing it to the original G-Shock, so you get a really good idea of what it's like. So the first thing I'm going to say is that the LCD display on the Citizen is a fraction bigger. We're talking point of a millimeter or so, so I'm not really going to measure that side. But the obvious difference is that on the original, it's showing the date at the top and the time at the bottom, whereas on the Citizen, it's showing the time at the top and the date at the bottom. Now, I do like on the original G-Shock that the Monday, the day of the week, is there on the top left corner, whereas on the Citizen it's at the bottom right corner. The G-Shock has the sub-dial box there, whereas on the Citizen it's completely free. There's no lines whatsoever. On the original G-Shock, it has the 24-hour icon, whereas on the Citizen this doesn't have such a thing. The buttons on the Citizen are completely different to the G-Shock, whereas up at the top here, this is your adjust button, and then you have the light button, and then you have select, and you have mode. Whereas at the top here, this is mode, and this button here is your adjustment. And this is sort of the select, and then down here where the mode would be on the G-Shock, this is your light button. Now, is this any good? I have to admit that being that I wear my watches on the right wrist, that it's easier to push these two buttons together quickly. So if I need the backlight, nice and easy, and adjust. Whereas when I'm operating this side, it does require the swap of the hand. Then again, if the G-Shock was worn on the left wrist, getting to the adjustment button isn't that easy because it's actually recessed, whereas on the Citizen, all 4 buttons are sticking out like my ears. As I like pushing buttons, I thought I would just explain that, but I normally just remove them off my wrist to adjust the date and the alarm and things like this because I like to have 2 hands on the job. So next I thought I'll go through the modes together so you can see the differences. So first mode on the G-SHOCK is the stopwatch, whereas on the Citizen is the alarm. So what do we have on the G-SHOCK? It comes up with ST, and there is the stopwatch time ready to go. Whereas on the Citizens, a little bit different. It's come out with AL1 and it's showing that the alarm is off. Let's go through the next mode, which is the timer. Citizen has AL2. Next mode on the G-SHOCK is the alarm, and on the Citizen it's having the stopwatch. And notice it has a little icon here called STP, and that is abbreviation for stopwatch. Next mode on the G-SHOCK is back to the home time. The next mode on the Citizen is the timer, and it's come up with the TMR flashing. Next mode from timer is DUT, D-U-T, which is for the dual time. And then pressing again, it goes back to home time. So just a few more features. As most of you watching do know how the original G-SHOCK works, or it is pretty much like all the other G-SHOCKs where you press the adjustment up here and then you can adjust all the features, and this goes for the alarm and timer and so forth. Whereas on the Citizen, this is all very backwards and a lot of forwards. So are you ready for this? I think I'm ready for this. The first one is the backlight, and here it is. Oh, is it this side or is it this side?
I'm gonna have to turn some lights off.
Let's do some backlighting, and it's like that, and it's not a bad backlight. I must admit that it is a lot brighter than on the original G-SHOCK. Like so. That's the original G-SHOCK, and this is the backlighting on the Citizen. It's a bigger bulb as well. We've already done the mode button there. This one here at the top does nothing, and the bottom one here does nothing. But if you press them together, you get a little chirp, and then you get a little icon showing, which is CHI, which is Chai, which is abbreviation for chime, and that's for hourly chime. Well, that was quite wordy, wasn't it? And to turn this off, it's pushing both of those buttons again, and it makes a little chirp, and then it goes out. Next, I'm going to take you through the adjustment side from the home screen. So it's the top button here. Remember when I said I just pressed it the once, it did nothing. Well, if you give it a few seconds worth of pressing, then you can enter the adjustment mode. Now it's adjusting the seconds, or saying that's what can be adjusted. And it's using the bottom button here. So if I press that, that would have just zeroed it off. So if I push on, if I go to the next one, it would be the minutes. And here I can adjust, but I'm going to show you a bit later something else what it can do, as adjusting this is just going to make the tutorial too long. Then it goes to the hours, then you've got the month, and then you've got the date, and then you've got the day of the week. So let me show you a demonstration of how it works. So it works like that. So you can just get to see all the dates, and if you hold your finger down, it flips through like so. So let's take it back to the date, which is Monday of the day of the week. Then press in again, it goes to the year. So this will forward to 2035, like so. Started at 1985. Look at that, Marty McFly. And again, you can just hold it down and it fast forwards. Almost there. So that is quite impressive to have that. And then pressing again, we have the option to change from 24 hours to 12 hours. And notice that it comes up with PM. And then pressing the adjust, it takes you back to the home time and it stops flashing. So that's all the features on the home screen. Let's go back into the mode with a bit more detail. So the first mode is coming up with the AL1, which is alarm 1, and here I can press this button down here and toggle the alarm to be on. Also notice that it made a little chirp. So if I press again, that would be the noise it makes when it goes off. So to adjust this, you can do it either two ways. You can either just do it with it on, or you can do it with it off. So by pressing this button up here, long press, and notice the end of my fingers, look at that, you can really see the buttons being shown with the imprint. So it's just a few seconds and then it comes up like that. So you have the option to adjust using the bottom button. You can only go forwards, there's no backwards, like so as an example, and then pressing the adjust, it just goes to the minutes, and if I press again, it just goes like so. And then from there, if I turn it on, it's now shown me that it is ready for 10 o'clock. It's only a daily alarm, so 24 hours basically. So the next mode from alarm 1 is alarm 2, and notice that these do flash, these icons, so I'm going to come back to that a bit later. And this is the same thing, it would do the same, but whereas the alarm 2 has a different tone. From alarm 2, the next mode is the stopwatch. Now I think it's an hour's worth of stopwatch. Well, I've got technical information here, lots of instructions. So it's a 1 hour stopwatch, and there it's come up with STP. Again, it's flashing, and here it has a little icon with 1/100. So it's a 100th of a second stopwatch. So let's start it and see what happens. So it's the top button up here, has a little chirp, and there it's going at 100th of a second, catching the seconds, and then that will catch the minutes. Now there is a split time, pressing the bottom button down here, give that a little press, there is no chirp, and it comes up with split written in full on that side. And if you stop the stopwatch, the split actually stops, so you know that the time has stopped. And if you press again, it starts flashing. So in theory, you can take 2 lap times. So that's your first one, pressing the bottom button here. That's your second lap time, and then pressing for the last time, it resets it. Just like to point out that the time is always shown on the Citizen, regardless of the mode. And this is the same for the G-SHOCK as well. See, the top box is showing the date. As soon as I enter the mode, it swaps to the time, and then you go through all the way and then come back out, and then it swaps to the date. Whereas on the 5600C, they've changed this. So if I go through the modes, it swaps from the date. This customizes a date feature on the alarm, so it's not just an hourly alarm. Moving on, there you have dual time. Now I have my home time back showing. I go to the timer, home time is shown, but when I go to stopwatch, I lose my time. And then when I return, it goes back to date. Yeah, that was quite interesting. I actually enjoyed that. Right, where were we? Okay, next mode, timer. Let's go to that one, and then it comes up with TMR flashing. Now, if I push the bottom button here, this gives me the adjustment, and it will record or count down from 99 minutes. And notice that this is flashing. Basically, all this is telling me is what the timer is set, and you'll see this come to more usefulness later. So you can push it individually like this. It's going to take some time, or you can hold the button down, which is still going to take a little time. So what I want to do is give you a demonstration. So I'm going to bring this down all the way to 1 minute. So the timer is set to 1 minute, and then you have the 1 there as well. So as soon as I press the adjustment button up here, it will start the countdown timer straight away. And there you can see that it's stationary at 1, just to let me know how long the timer is set for. So I'm going to play this out so you can hear what it sounds like. Coming into the last 5 seconds, and here we go. This is what it sounds like. And this sounds for about 10 seconds. There we go. And then it goes off. And then notice it starts flashing because it wants to be set again. Anyway, that is that timer completed. So the next mode from timer is the dual time, which is DUT, as dual time. That is so odd, isn't it? DUT. And to adjust this, it's pushing the adjustment button with a long press of a couple of seconds, and then you get the hours to play around with. Press again, you get the minutes, and then when you press for the third time, it goes off like that. And then from there, pressing the mode, it goes back to home time. Now, I've got to show you the really cool feature, and this is all the information that's displayed in home time. So at the moment, I have alarm 1 and 2 switched on, which is indicated like so. But I'm going to show you something else super, super cool. There's the stopwatch. Let's start the stopwatch. And then I'm going to start the timer like so, and then I'm going to come out to home time. Now look at that. So the alarm 1 is on, alarm 2's on, the stopwatch is running, and the timer's running. And now the timer's going off. You see that the timer icon is gone out. How interesting is that? Oh, this module is so cool. So I'll just go through the modes there. Let's turn the alarm 1 off, alarm 2. I got the stopwatch running still, so if I stop, just out of curiosity, I've got that on stop. If I was to come back out, push the light then, I went through the wrong mode. Now if I come back out, it comes up without it running. So the stopwatch actually has to be running for it to actually be displayed on the home time. So I'm just going to reset that. And then there is no fast forward to go back to home time, so with a long press on mode it's not going to take you back to home time. Anyway, that is the tutorial on this Citizen. What are you thinking, guys? Now I really like this module, especially with those 2 alarms, and I do like the module on the original G-Shock. I actually prefer it to the 5600C. Anyway, that is the differences between them. Now you can understand why G-Shock got excited and had to stop Citizen, but it also shows you when another really good brand gets involved and wants to show you what they can do. It's very impressive. Now, Citizen, you were just a little bit too late. Now, I'm going to show you something very, 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 very different and very rare. This is the remake of the SEIKO Arnie. I don't actually have the original Arnie, but I have done a video about it, so I have some good experience. Anyway, this is the new one, and it's solar powered, and it has some nice screw down buttons and a screw down crown, so there is quite a good advancement on there. What happens if Citizen copied the Arnie? Well, they did, and they did it back in 1987.